So let's talk about violence against women and girls. Again, there are different parts to this for me. So the first part of that for me is about tackling the culture of violence against women and girls. And the absolute priority there is to get people to start talking about it. And that's why this is in my manifesto, because I want to start talking about this from the get-go. So another component of changing the culture of violence against women and girls is to develop an absolute zero tolerance to it. And that needs to start from the top. And I intend in this role to have a zero tolerance to any forms of violence against women and girls and create a culture across the county that everybody signs up to. And we need to make sure that we have specialist teams tackling those crimes that predominantly affect women, like domestic abuse, sexual assault. That needs specialist support. The second part of that for me is about tackling this issue of first offences becoming multiple offences, particularly for victims of things like domestic abuse. It's where most of the victims are women. Of course, there are male victims too, but most of the victims are women. And there is evidence by, for example, a professor called Professor Monckton Smith, who has managed to give the pathway from a first offence, and there are 8 stages. And I want to see things like that being used in our policing to protect women from domestic violence. And what goes along with that is how we tackle behaviour change after a first offence. So I want to see really good behaviour change programmes being used for people after an early offence and not allowing them to continue. And then the last thing, of course, is about protecting the woman in the situation. We need to make sure that she gets all the support she needs to be able to leave that situation safely. And then the final part of that for me is about rebuilding trust in the police. There is no question that the Sarah Everard situation has really damaged women's trust in the police as a force there to protect them, and we have to tackle that. And in order to do that, we need rigorous scrutiny of police officers when they're hired, but also as they're working, so that the public can really be sure that the police officers that are there to serve them, they can trust. But also part of that is about the police force being fit and well. There are some really shocking statistics about the mental health of police officers, and I think those officers need to be supported, so we need to make sure that every single police officer is fit to do their job. So the final part of this for me just links back to my manifesto pillar around visibility, because without visibility there's an absence of information, and with an absence of information is distrust, and we need to fix that.